This psich is Rebbe himself wrote it. It's not
pictures.
Huh? There's minus. There's what's it? The picture of Xavier. Huh? No. I remember hearing it. No, it's enough. I remember hearing it.
What's the article?
Weiß nicht. The Pnim doesn't get it. Das ist the Xavier can sein. But the meiste is that the Musik of Hazan al-Rambam, basically there's Makaris before for the Musik of Hazan al-Rambam. Basically, let's see what the Rebbe says here. Hazan al-Aswas Asiyan Sefer Mishneh Torah Ayad HaChazak al-Rambam. Sefer Mishneh Torah shel Rambam K'mishkosa B'Akdamasi. It's a Mekabes l'Torah shebal Peh Kula. Matakonis, V'Amenhogis, V'Agzim Torah shebal Peh heißt es the Raisa side, the Rambam says himself, Mishneh Torah is after he learns Torah Shebiksav, so he's bringing the entire kibbutz of the entire Torah Shebal Peh. Torah Shebal Peh is this the Dinim Dei Raisa. Sai Yanam of Allah Mishim Sinai, Sai all the Pirushim, the Gimel Shater and Drashes, and that's Torah Shebal Peh. B'Neisel Lezeh, at Akonis, V'Amenhogis, V'Agzeris. It's also Nichlal in Torah Shebal Peh. In the Sefer Ayah. There is another one that the Rambam Hilchas Mamre, when he brings, I don't remember exactly what the Lashon there is, the Seder of Takonis and Hagis and Gzeris, there's a difference between the way he writes it here in the Akadama to the way he brings it in the Hilchas Mamre. Shenas and Mesha Ben Va'at Chibra Gamara, which that's the entire Torah Shebal Peh. The Rambam brings later that the Takonis that were made later don't have the same takeif as the Takonis and the Minhagis and the Gzeris that are mentioned in the Gemara. So here let's look at the entire Torah Shebal Peh. So moving is Kikmeish B'Shas. There's a shaykhs v'kisha dasiyim v'aschole. There's the kesh between the siyim of the Masech, the siyim hashas, the siyim hatero, the aschol hatero. There's a kesh between them. So there is the Rambam. It's not only a likut of all the dinei hatero, but it's not stam mitzvah machta likut. We're talking about a sefer in Torah, which in Yoni is a kibbutz of Torah Shebal Peh, so it has the same gedorim, has the same tchunis as Torah Shebal Peh. So in Meile there in Torah bechlad the shaykhs v'kisha dasiyim v'aschole. One of the Hadran, the Pashtus means that we're going to chazer over the Masechta, but the minig, the word Hadran means that there's a minig that b'shas me'endik the Masechta, or b'shas m'sayim shas, so there's a minig l'kasher, and the minig is miyusid, v'al s'tagad v'akasher, le'b'chdei l'chudud l'vad, v'keis of it. So Hadran Zeh, gam b'mishneh Torah shel Rambam, shemikabes Torah Shebal Peh kulu chulu. It's not stam a likut of dinim, but it's the kibbutz of the entire Torah Shebal Peh. I mean, Tosim Shel Dvarim. So there's a dir. Siyumi Shel HaSefer. As Chalasei Yesh Kesher B'neim V'Shayachim Zel Lezeh. That's the answer. There adds in the order of force. Al there doesn't get every single chelik in Rambam, every halachis. Al there like every mesechta. This is Einzach. Kesher V'Shayach Siyam HaSefer Mishneh Torah As Chalasei Ugali Ubeilit. When it comes to the Rambam, so the kesher from the siyum and the Achschala, when you get the Shas. Siyam Shas, not necessarily Beilit, the first the Mishnah in Shas Retzach like in Zman Krishma, and the Siyam Shas Retzach and under in it's not the same meaning. There's a remes and there's a kesher between the Aschala and the Siyam. When it comes to the Siyam of Sefer Mishneh Torah, so the kesher from the Siyam to the Aschala is Gali or Beilit. Miretting the Zelbe Zach. But B'tchilas HaSefer Kesef HaRambam, the mitzvah of Leida Shesh HaMatzah Rishon, Yidiyas Hashem. And there was Medayik, and also at the end he speaks when he gets the name of Yidiyas Hashem. There was Medayik. The Lashon in the beginning of the Rambam is Leida Shesh HaMatzah Rishon. Hainu Shachiv Leirek Lahamin B'Hashem. Elo Leida B'Yidiyas Sichlis. I can tell you exactly what Yidiyas Sichlis means. In the Sich of, in the Hadran of, I think the Hadran Tashim Emches. That if Yidiyas Sichlis means Rayis V'Yichochis, the Metzias Hashem, where Yidiyas Sichlis means that not necessarily Rayis V'Yichochis, but that the concept of Elokus is a concept which Seichel could grasp. Emunah is that a person believes that there's a Metzias, there's an Eibusha which created everything, but there's no Hagdara. It doesn't have an understanding in the Maila of Elokus. Yidiyas Sichlis means to have a certain Tfisa and Asage in the Mailas and Shleimus of Elokus. But that's, by Kapanim, Vimus on the Shteishin, the Chiyuv is not only a Emunah which doesn't give you a description. It's not a, it's not a concept. Without a description. The mitzvah is laid that Yidiyas Sichlis, a Seichel Deki Yidiyah. Means it will kusha b'nitfas and Seichel. The Zelbe Inni, the Inni of Deyas Hashem, Yidiyas Elokus, that's also Teichen Advarim in Chasim Asa Sefer. It's better than Siyam Sefer Ayah. Asher Be'ez Hazman, in Be'ez HaMashiach, he came with mitzvah zu, and speaking about the same mitzvah. This mitzvah, Yidiyas Hashem, Bishlemus, even though the Ram doesn't connect it, it doesn't say mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem, but does Reteba. The Teichen HaMitzvah is Yidiyas Hashem. wegen dem Retter bei ACS man, das ist kein mit super schlimmus, okay, as you so kham delen, wir das better model ist schon kein dem khas. So this, so the barbar, da fsch ankommen zu mudden to pullen, das ist der barbar belet, der Rambam red sei bei schola, sei der sema yad, Retter wegen der Mitzvah für die Hashem. Sag es alkus. There is my fear that Kishu said the same as Cholose is not only betechna klali shlom duruvel. So that's the idea of Hashem. The gambe prati in Yonov. The prati is the kinyan that Rambam speaks about is the same pratim vayfanim idiyas Hashem. So the same pratim which he discusses b'siyam sefer the zelba pratim retter but tzulas sefer. So that's already number 4. And don't get it in the Varzan in the Hadr. Means the etzim inyan that they're retting the zelba inyan that's a goli ubelet. That's after shank mitzvah ganze beer. What's going to be added over here is that the kasha is not only betechna klali but in the prati inyan. A prati vayfanim idiyas Hashem and the morning b'chsimas sefer, which is what's the pratim that Rambam speaks about? Yidiyas dvarim astumim. And then Asagas das Bernik Fikei Chod Mikei Yitzvah. More pregnant that Rambam mentions there. There's Chachamim Deilim, the different Tiyurim that Rambam speaks over there. V'chein HaPratim B'Tzibas HaYidiyah. Why is it that Be'ez says man is going to be a Yidiyah Shlema? It's because Le'yisham Le'irav, L'fich Yisroch Chachamim Deilim. So Kulam Eilim means every single prat. Eilim B'kona Echot in Prata Ve'efanav Shal Yiseda Yisedis Leida Sheyashem Matzurishin. The Yiseda Advarim from everything here Leida Sheyashem Matzurishin. The Shlemas of all these pratim, the way they're described, the Tchilas I say, but the Shlemas of these pratim are going to be Mesa Mashiach. V'shivur l'kamam b'arichas. So the other thing is he's not Stam giving a beer on the Sefer Hayad, but also the Nekuda of Hadrin, that the Siyum is connected to the Aschol. Hadrin al-Rambam. Well, kam pratim etir Eisa Azman, the Mesa Mashiach, Shibasiyim Sefer Hayad, so then there was Mesa V'nocha pratis. That's the Ein Nekuda. The Mesa V'nocha pratis, kam pratim etir Eisa Azman, the Mashiach, Shibasiyim Sefer Hayad Kulei, Niskarim, V'orim, Gam B'uchas Shubah. And there's Chamashinui. The Gam Shinuim Elu Yizbaru Lefeni Yizdaitim V'chbir the Siyam Sefer Hayad. V'hemshech La'bir B'neish V'aschol HaSefer. We're going to have a better understanding in the Pratim of the Rambam let B'seif Sefer Hayad durch gut verstehen das Schol of Sefer Hayad. So here, in order to understand well the Siyam, Pashat the Prati Yanyanim and the Siyam, that we verstehen das Schol. It's more than a regular hadron that we're making a kesher. We're saying for the kesher is beilit, and number 2, I will gut verstehen the Siyam, that we verstehen das Schol. Without understanding the Aschol, we have a hard time to understand the Prati Advarim that the Rambam speaks about in the Siyum. And al derech zeh, the B'meil of the Shinuyim, to help us shub. V'yajich say, Nyanim, Rechel Gabriel, the Gibel Chalakim, Bir B'lachas Hashem, Shizlef Rayad, Bir B'siyim Sefer Rayad, Ikir B'chilka HaKosh, Shel Im Hilchas Shuvah, and Bir B'siyim B'chizim Shel Sefer Rayad, the Kishel Siyim HaSefer Rayad, this is, I'm going to say. Yeah, the beginning, but we'll go through the whole thing inside. Kos varam shkol sefer yad bezol sheni. They already shown I'm going to learn the hazard. Come upon. I'm learning it now. Yeah, it's also it's my grammar the same Rambam. Kos varam shkol sefer yad bezol sheni. You say this Amud HaChachma is the foundation of all foundations and the pillar to all wisdoms. The Amud HaChachma is leida sheyesham matzurish. So listen, as safaran a first being, first existence. It means prior to the whole creation. There's a Metzias Rishena. For who, this Metzias Rishena, who Mamtzi called Ert Alf Mamtzi, and he created everything that exists. So first the Rebbe tells us on what the Rambam says in the Sefer Hayad, you say that, I say this Amud HaChachmas. The cause like this. It means the Etzem Zah, that Yidiyas Hashem, that the fact that Yeshem Matzah Rishon is a Yisayt for everything, that's a Davar Pasha, that's a fact. The fact is that the fact that it's an Eibishter and everything stems from him, that's the Yisayt for everything. There's no, if you don't have the Musik of Alakus, there's no Musik of Torah, there's no Musik of Mitzvahs, and there's no Musik of many, many things. But the Rebbe get to it. The question is, why does the Rambam bring it? Why, when he speaks about the halacha of Yidiyas Hashem, it doesn't start off mitzvah leida sheshem matzurish. The Rambam starts off the halacha that the fact that Yidiyas Hashem is a Yisayt. Why is he mentioning within the Sefer Halachas? That's the Rishon Zachot Rebbe Ton Rebbe. It says, Kol inyan Sefer Hayad heim halachas. Every single prat that Rambam mentions in Sefer Hayad is a halacha. Which goes back to Masal Sefer that is writing halachas halachas. I mean, there's many yanim in Torah, there's medrash in Torah, many facts, many true facts. They're not halachas. And in yanim which are not halacha, bring tzachus in Sefer Hayad. Umizeh. Shigam ha'inin the leida sheshem matzurish who you say that I say this. The Rambam doesn't say that the fact that there's an Eibishter is to say that I say this. The Rambam says the knowing that the Eibishter is that asfran alakus, that's the Yisayt. So that means that guf is halacha. Because the Rambam lebak the masil became a sifrei guf halacha. So there's not only a halacha to know that there's an Eibishter. There's a halacha that Yidiyas Hashem is a Yisayt v'amud hachachmas. The question is, what's the halacha shebazeh? It's true that Yidiyas Hashem is the Yisayt that Yisayt. What's for halacha linked in them? Halacha means that we're telling a person to do something. A certain hirah, bitzu, how to behave, not just saying a certain fact, a certain uvda. So was for Allah liegt in them that Yidiyas Hashem, knowing that it's an Eibush there, is that you say something like that. What's the Allah Shvizah? What's sort of Psak-Din liegt in them? It's a Rav an idea, Sheshem Matzedishin, who you say it Kala Teira. Is the Bar, Kim Lo Yis Amas and Siyas Hashem, Lo Yitia Amana B'Teira. And the Vesin, Shizba Getlachkeit, so then, the whole concept of Teira is, not a Psamaisi the other, that it's Heiros, which Nitnu Mi Beira Elam, that from Visnas Frana Beira. But halacha in yana psak din hanegel apel. Ma shaykh lemer beinin hanal she yidi zu hu yisayid shu halacha. What's the pshat of this halacha? Seinza. So there brings her a chulef shalemer, but that's representing a beer, but that's not the nekuda. What's the get read in the hadron? Chulef shalemer shkam yidi zu ish nafkim elamais. What's nafkim elamais? Nakim shalei de sheshem matzrish nu yisayid v'ha'am b'chol in yana terekula. Sariz mechayiv sha'aschod b'lim la teret tzrichlis b'inin zad afke. There's halachas of din kedima. What are you supposed to learn first? So the most important thing, or something which you say it for everything, that's mechayah, that there's a din kedima to learn this subject before you learn anything else. So that's not committed to to know that. If the Ram wouldn't have been say for that, say you say, what the nefshim is gewusst, that they say this is that there's a chiyuv kedima in Mrs. Yidiyas Hashem. Even though that brings later, it's not a beer, it's not a stark beer. This what gewusst misvara. This nekuda that there's a halacha lahaktiv, there's a din kedima to learn Yidiyas Hashem before other inyanim, that we would have known that even if the Rambam wouldn't have mentioned it within the halachas that is a yisayid this. Even if he says just in the kepel that Yidiyas Hashem is a yisayid, misvara vesimer, that something which is a yisayid has a din kedima like other things that are pratim which are neveah from the yisayid. Doesn't have to write in the halacha itself yisayid the system with the chachmis in order to bring out this point. That's something about misvara. Savish doesn't say mufurish. How do we know that because the yisayid is a din kedima? That's misvara. A davar choshuv, or something which in emes alt tali, is machad, there's a din kedim. Vasafar is bringing in the pnim. But this is the first beer the Rebbe says. So another nafkamid is going to be shamayna l'shayla bezeh kedem es l'mayna shayla sachiris. Aval hezber zeh eni mastik. Ki al pizeh shal limu shal yisei da teira. Yesh chayva sakdim limu shal cholach zeh teira. So then it's not only menigel alochas er yishaynis, ki megam menigel cholach yisei da teira. The Rambam should say that Abbas Hashem is a yisei. The Rambam sagt that everything that he speaks about in these halachas are you say the atayra. If the nekuda that you say is mechayv din kedima, and if the will zag that it's not enough to say it in the akdam, and therefore zagging in the pnim, so you should have said when you get to Abbas Hashem that you say it Gadol le'Abbas Hashem, you say it Gadol le'Yiras Hashem, and you say it Gadol nevuah. We should know that there's a din kedima. Yeah, we can skip. We don't have to go through every single prat. It says, after the king, Shemafar Tarama, Var Silchas, say that Teira, any mad, Yishun of Semer Kimaki says, Shemi say that Teira, but they'll have to these Chebes Blimut. And the Pashto says that we don't have to, we don't have to be madgish in the Pnim. Even if it's in the Akdama, what we give us as a Chiv. And the Rebbe says, Zoed v'gam ze'ikar, tochazim ma'am adabar, shalei kazeh o seder alimud hanog. Eichos Talmud Teira lat merzog misham nisman. But that's not to say that and was is bringing them as a richtige Sache, or that to say that the reason why the Ram is makdim it is in order to say that it's a din kedima. That means the fact that the Yidiyas Hashem has a din kedima is a davar a foolish barambam, then it would be a shvera zach. We don't find anyone we don't find anywhere if it's a halacha or a shakvatari. Why is it that we don't learn that as the first thing? So it's mashal. That's not the ikra mechub what the Rambam is saying. The din kedim lochas hamateri. There could be other cheshbein is involved. There could be a cheshbon when it comes to being mechanech, someone had to learn. Maybe there's important mitzvah to say the chshivas halimud that from makna zayin epesandish. Even though you see conceptually what we get after shem makdim zayin Yidiyas Hashem. Look, poil there's other cheshbonis why we're makdim other tchum, other nice. In order for someone to from mitzvah chinuch halimud, you have to be makdim other things. So maybe it's schwer to say that the reason why the Ram is this because it's coming to say there's a loch of dimas atayr. Because the fact that lei amadavar is mashma that is taken not mitzad the idea about the taken mechav. But there's no halacha mifnei atzma to be makdim huchs the idea satayr itself. It's not a halacha liyikuva. And by made when there's other cheshbenis and there are other milas to be makdim something else, we take a makdim other things. That's the chor of the kavanah, no? The chor of the kavanah. Okay, like upon so black the shaila, what's the pshat? What's the halacha in the fact that Yidiyas Hashem is a yisei that yisei? Mashma says there's one way a person has Yidiyas Hashem, without not if Yidiyas Hashem wouldn't be or if a person wouldn't know there wouldn't be a halacha. Yidiyas Hashem is a yisei. There'd be one way of knowing the musik of Elokus. When the Rambam says Yidiyas Hashem is Yisei so that gives a different way of how to be Mekayim Mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem. That's the nafka min halacha. It's a different eifin of Mekayim and Mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem with the Akdama that it's a Yisei God. That we'll see. So it's not because that's the first thing to learn, just inside the Cheshbon Advarim, inside the Seder Advarim, well, it's a different eifin of Yidiyah. Different way of knowing. Let's get to Masber saying. V'hemshel, I was going to get to that in the Meshel Zman, but that's one. What's the pshat? You say this in Chachmas. So Rebbe says the pshit is had bevadil. You say this in Chachmas Shebetayra. You look at order 9. The Rabbanel teaches that you say this for Chachmas means in Yana Chachmas Umasaylam. The Rambam is saying Yidiyas Hashem is a Yisei for Chachmas Aylam too. So Rebbe is saying the Prim that it's bevadil. The Rambam is not Manaf Kibin Sefer Ayad. What's a Yisod for Chveis Chachmas Yitzayim? Let's negate the Sefer Rambam as Am Yisor. Even if it's true that Yidiyas Hashem is a Yisei for Chachmas Umasaylam. Manaf Kibin Sefer Ayad to Zagan as Azach. It means B'zestar HaKushas Rabbanel Ma Lanu Ladas Ma Yisei Dazo Amud HaChachmas HaNochis Ashalei V'rei Yisraelim. So that is Nishdas meint and meint out in Yanim and Teir. There's Yanim of Yiseidis and Teir and Yanim of Chachmas of Teir. So the Shaila is, what are the Yiseidis and what are the Chachmas? And also, why would the Yisrael say this? Nagat Allah Halosh and Yiseidis is Nigel Chachmas Amud HaChachmas. Beis, how? Was for the Eifin is the Rambam? How does he describe the Eibishter in the Halacha Rishayim? So the Rambam says, "Leida sheyesha motzirish." So this is a first existence. So tevas motzei techne rak sheyeshne is a mitzias. There's a being. There's an existence. Aval eine media kol prat ma umihi mitzias. There's no description what type of mitzias it is, what type of being it is. So the Mishayla when you move on. There's a supreme being. There's an Eibishter. There's someone that he's Shalit al Kol. Elakah means that he's a musik of divinity, that he's Muchayiv HaMetzias, that he's Shalit and everything. The word Motzei Rishon doesn't express that there's a Metzias, that this Metzias is a Muchayiv HaMetzias, and that he's Shalit and Bechefzi HaKel Yaseh. It doesn't bring out, this is not brought out in the word Motzei. Motzei just says there's an existence. The Lashon Elakah would have brought out that there's an Eibishter. Harechiv leida sheshem Elakah. Umufurish min mitzvah shlufnei aschol saperek. Shigam zeh omer Rambam. There the Lashon is leida sheshem Elakah. Can have a little meimar sheshem Elakah. V'yesh b'chal masai manashu matzei. Very important the Lashon. Why does the Rambam say sheyeshem matzei rishon? Nachazach b'fat shaloshin matzei shayach gam b'negel the Nevrayim. The etzem in of existence also Nevrayim are matzei. Etzem zach a faranenkeit, an existence, Nevrayim also exists. We're saying Matzah Rishon, he's the first existence, before anything else existed. But why doesn't the Rambam say a word that brings out the Tchun of Elokus? Doesn't say a word that brings out the Tchun of Elokus. What's the Shayla? Yes, Amol, the beer is that the Rambam wants to bring out Matzah Rishon, that he wants to go to Etzem of Elokus that's beyond Hagdara. Sheitas Amol is that beer. Doesn't say any Hagdara when he gets to Matzah because he wants to bring out the Nukuda of Etzem of Elokus that has no description at all. But that's what ich gewinne dichel if you would say Elokah. Elokah doesn't say it's a tchuna chiyuv is about the Eibishter. There's you say someone that has full authority. Whatever the type of get of Elokah means, not necessarily a pirush. But the Rebbe's madgeshir the word mitzias is an existence, not the Hagdara, not the word that existence that has no touch. Matzah Rishon, a first being, a first existence. So litish in the word Matzah that it's pseidin of Avshata, in Pshitas. There's an existence. So the Shaila is, and that's a missing musik of existence, exists by Nevrayim too. If I was to lose the Rambam Mazal Lashon. Then the Achri Om Rishon Matzah says, who mamzi kol nimtza, my meise v'kamashal adgashos eshurish. Yesham Matzah, which is mamzi kol nimtza, one of me to say that is Urish. Yisayim is the same type of kasha that Rebbe has to get to Matzah, that Rebbe has to get to Rish. Rishon Meir Shadavar Nikr Kein who nimne b'shayach advar navay machlo. Say the first has to be the first of a chain. You're not saying that he's something that's miyuchad or moved alatzim. If you say yachid means that he's a singular thing. A first means that he's a first sequence, the hensha. If there's no relationship, there's no yachas between the Elyon and the Tachten, it's not shy they call him a first. So very much the Eibishter is the first for creation, the first for the Metzias and the Brain. He's not the first. The Eibishter exists. And all of it saying it's Machan Avel. Let's try what's the Metzias Matzah Rishon. Rishon, so the same type of kasha when you get to matzah. The dugmas, there are two problem that when you get to matzah. First of all, you're not giving, the Ram could have said a word which expresses divinity, which expresses Gettlichkeit, Rishon Malika. That's one kasha. The other kasha is that Fakir uses a lashon that's metayr a shaykhas to himself. The etzem matzah also nevraim are things that exist. So he's not saying using a word that's shaykh you say b'miyucha to the Eibishter. Otherwise, I'm to get to Rishon. First of all, what's that from Onkum and Sazabar? It's extra. And the second kasha is Rishon also shows that he's shaykh. The Eibishter is the first of creation. He's not the first. The whole he's a mizgeres of Shneatzim. Rishon meidesh hadavar nikrikin hu nimne v'shaykh l'dvarim b'ay machra. V'kosha the Ram atzmi kesef b'alocha gimel shegam kasher kol ha'nemtzaim levadi lo yiyu mitzvim. Who levadi yiyu mitzvim libat will be told. The Nisisa Valakus is not dependent on the Nisisa Nebra. V'lei zul b'dad l'shkol ha'nemtzaim and then dimin la'bedi yizbarach misharam k'misharai l'cham b'alochazayim v'ches mechazik var b'rayim v'chaz b'amita daminu v'eshvet ken eich shaykh lemar Allah yizbarach shu matzirish. Yeah, so this is two kashas that the Rebbe read, and you get to the two terim the Rambam uses to express the musik of Holocaust. Matzah Rishon, both of them that have a beer, both of these terim. The Kodesh Advarim is that besides there could have been a better words to use. The main kasha is that he uses a tayar which the Chodesh shows that the Eibishter has a yachash to himself. He's the first to creation, another existence. The table exists, the world exists, the Eibishter is in existence. The Holocaust is bein arech tevel. That's the shayla. Ach, because of the Shemotzi, Hamshich Haram Malach Beis, Vim Yalla, Das, Shu Eni Motzi, and the Vachar Yochel Yimotzis. Second Allah. So the shayla is Ma Mechadish B'zeh. Im Yalla, Das, Shu Eni Motzi, is Ein Davar Achar Yochel Yimotzis. Achar Yikshov, V'alach Al Shkol Emusel, Minim Sel, Amit Nisim Motzi, Hari L'chore, Ein Kol Teisus Chidish B'zeh, Shemesh, L'vat Mitzvizis, Barach Ein Davar Achar Yochel Yimotzis. What's the Teruf with that? The second kasha is what's the ardichas for the shein v'im yala aladas? How did Meir come on because parshas v'im hu eni matzu chulu v'yilu? What's the solution v'im yala aladas? But Benel kosa bezel fish is dover medum v'eni dover efshari something which is kenish zayin as a zay at the Eibush is on the zay. It's not possible that that there shouldn't be his existence. So if v'yilu would be mashmos, the fact is this way. If it would be that way, it's kach v'kach. There's no option that it could be that way. So the Ram uses a lashon yala aladas. That a mensch can sich duchten as azah, but in reality it's not shaykh such a option. Ja, das sheni matzik is da wieder mei adam die shiyeke. The Rebbe Zray says it's not necessarily like that. The Rambam brings in Yonim which kennen nicht sein. Now the king doesn't use the lashon in yala ladas. Any movement all the kamam al khazan case Ram ilo yelkus harbe. Ilo yetzer guf gvir. Davar is also davar medum wenn davar afshari. Aber the king in the case shom in yala ladas can be ilu. So the ilu means if you're going to think such, if you're going to have such a thought. Doesn't have, even though it's something which b'mtzias can it sein. Beza film b'mtzias kim tzolem shesh l'chadik b'neim kamaduma deini matzim mufrach umushli yisem amaduma de l'kus harbi v'guf gvia adayin ini muvin loshan anami v'talas adik b'chol tev ki ma'u ardichas im yala ladas l'nag loshan tzara v'im yedam v'dekeitzes. Okay. That's the shabbos. Gimel mashkotz v'shu eini matzim l'chor havle l'katzim v'lema she'eini matzim maika mashvam tebesu. The Rambam means to say in yala ladas that the Eibusher doesn't exist. You should use the lashon v'im yala ladas she'eini matzim. What's shehu eini matzim? Okay, let me only bin the it's going to be the minion limit. Bir b'chol now you've been behektem atmir b'chol suchas say that tale. So the Rambam schreibt in der Keppel huchas say that tale. So the shaila is a Pirish Mishnah is on the very clear case of Rambam shnikrit the say we see the so im shleisha also you say this. Mefarta. Ilu huchas say that tale mash mit kamamim. Wie es Mashiach he is amazing. Means the Gemara is just a few more that he doesn't bring in to say that tale. Schar ba'enish is not brought to say that tale. One of the Yud Gimel Ikrim. So the shaila is, what's the pshat? The Rambam says, look, you say that Torah, so he's reading all you say this of Torah, and then in Perek Chedek Zokta that there's 13 you say this of Torah, he could say this of Shleisha Esrei, why doesn't he bring them and say in Sefer Hayat? The other knows that Gemara, what's the pshat? When you speak about the Gimel Ikrim, or you say that Torah, when you speak about what's the pshat Ikrim, you say this. It doesn't mean, the Rambam says that Yid that says that the whole Torah is emphasized in one pasuk nation piatzmi is a kafir b'Torah. If he says one ace or one ace from Torah Shema Peh is nicht also a kafir b'Torah. But that's not. You say this means that mekenish verstehen the musik of Torah mitzvahs without having this musik. Torah min hashamayim. The reason why if someone doesn't believe Torah min hashamayim is a kafir is not because he doesn't believe what Moshe Rabbeinu said. It's because if it means he doesn't have a correct understanding of what Torah is. If a person thinks that Torah is a man-made thing, he has a wrong understanding of what Torah is. In order to have a correct understanding of what Torah mitzvah, what Yiddishkeit is, there's 13 Yesodis. 13. If you don't know these Yesodis, you're missing an understanding of what Torah mitzvah is. Someone never heard of mitzvah tefillin, he's not necessarily doesn't have a correct understanding of what Yiddishkeit is. You can understand what Yiddishkeit is, and what the tachlis is, and what the musik of Torah mitzvah is. Even if you don't know there's a certain mitzvah, for many dinim, many halachas, in their base that there's a Isser Shabbos to Chveis Mechatach, or other Isser. You're going to say that he's missing a correct understanding of the concept of Yiddishkeit. He's not missing, versteht sehr gut, was Yiddishkeit is. Many pratim that most Yidden don't know all pratim of Torah. It's a double pasha. You say this is that if you don't have the knowledge of these Nekudas, hat nicht kein richtig verstand what Yiddishkeit is. That's you say the Torah. So the Rambam is bringing, you say that in Sefer Yad, you say that the Rambam brings is the mitzvah. Certain things that he brings here, he doesn't bring there. The Mashal Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. The Rambam doesn't bring it in, it's not one of the Gimel Ikri, that you have to have Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Here, it's one of the Yesodis of Torah. That means you can have a correct understanding of the concept of Torah, side when you have Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. That's the mashmos. Without Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, so it's a Yesod in Torah, Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Nevuah, the mashal that he brings here, he brings in Gimel Ikrim too. But Kama things that he brings here, he does not bring in Gimel Ikrim. And Kama Ikrim that he brings in Seif in Perek Chelek, the mashal B'yas Mashiach, Tchias HaMesim, B'chal mentioned in Sefer Hayat. Brings in Sefer Hayat, not mentioned in Sefer Hayat. Tchias HaMesim and the Schar V'Einish. B'chal Nish Dermont Nesei Teres. What's the pshat? Mashiach Kama, das fragt die Kash. Papier is the touch like this. It's an interessant Sache. We keep much called technisch Sefer Hayat to Kolosh Ram but the Mosri there says al derech like by Rashi. That since Rashi says I need the bus el far pshut shemikra. So this for I need must learn the even clearly Rashi knows pshut shemikra. But Amol sagt Medrash. It's a geschmack in Medrash, a geschmack in this. Amol Rashi brings it in. I don't know exactly how they work out exactly the club. But there Rashi pshut shemikra so there's a chelik in Torah which is to explain pshut shemikra. So there's nothing there that's not part of Pshat Shemikra. Because anything that's not Pshat Shemikra, it helps Rashi. There might be Ramaz Mahukim in Rashi, but there must be that every single prat of Rashi could be eisgeteicht within the realm of Pshat Shemikra. Because Anilei Basi Elafar Pshat Shemikra schreibt there that his Inyan is, then that's that chelik in Torah, chelik apshat shebetayr. That's Inyan Amiti. So chelik apshat shebetayr, it's not that you say, people look at it, Rashi came to write a Pirush. Amol schreibt an andere Sache, besides Pshat Shemikra. That's a Piyah Emes. You have a chelik in Torah which in Yani is Pshat Shemikra. A Piteras Emes, where it's Pshat Shebetayr. So there cannot be a prat that's not Nichlam Pshat Shebetayr. As they say, no one's going to say there's a halach in Shulchan Aruch that's an Indian of Drush, of Mil Chassidus. Shulchan Aruch is halachas. Chayiv Adam Lazis Kach Lekach. It's not the... So there's a Rashi's Pshat Shemikra, it's that chelik Pshat Shebetayr. So the Rambam says, Kol Technosh Sefer Yad is halachas. So the Rambam is chelik halacha shebetayr. Anything which is not a part of chelik halacha shebetayr doesn't exist in Sefer Hayat. The Rambam brought in other stuff. A Yid's writing a Sefer brought in other things. Apiteras emes, Rambam is halacha shebetayr. So there's no word in Rambam that's not a part of halachas. With anything that's brought there is negeh for the gather of halacha. Or whatever is not negeh to the gather of halacha is not mentioned in Sefer Hayat. Because that's the Tagdar of Sefer Hayat. The halachas. So Mistaber Leimar Shegam Ater, the musik of Torah in Sefer Hayat is the musik of Allah. So other like Rebbe is going to get to Rashi. If Rashi brings a certain musik, so Rashi speaking the musik, so via someone that learned Medrash is going to understand the musik. And there's the way someone that learns Pshat understands the musik. You say you mentioned Avraham Avinu. Someone that learned Kabbalah, so Avraham Avinu was Chveis Midas Chesed Shabbat Tzedus. For a child, Avraham Avinu means the Metzias where Avraham Avinu Geveh. When Rashi speaks about Avram, what's the musik of Avram that Rashi speaks about? The Avram, the way Avram is Alpi Pshat, not Avram the way Avram is Alpi Seid, or other musagim. Although Rashi speaks of the musik of Torah, it's the way a child understands the musik of Torah. Not Torah, Chveis, Adasif, Kishbir, Kol Achad, in Yadam of Seidis at Torah, that a child, Ben Chamish, the Mikra, Vesis, Shunzeh. So Al Derech Zeh, when the Rambam brings Torah in Sefer Hayat, which aspect of Torah is speaking about? Torah within the Mizgaris of Allah. Other aspects of Torah, Nish does mean the word Torah in Sefer Hayat. The word Torah in Sefer Hayat is the musik of Torah the way it is mitzad the gather of Allah. So, Shahainu, Shamusik the Torah kan, Teichnei, Leipel Pula Deraisa. Okay, it's a bit. Svara Shakratarius, that's not this chelik of Torah is chelik halacha sheb'Torah. So what does that mean when he says Torah? Halacha is Torah. What's the agdara of halacha ati pshutai? Torah melashon ira means showing a person what to do, how to live l'payil, how to say orders of how a person should live his life in actuality. That's and that's the musik of Torah. The musik of Torah in Sefer Hayad is the sefer which the Eibishter telling me what to do and how to the orders of the Eibishter wie zu führen sich. And the Kavana be say that Torah, how you say the Shalach is the Dinah Torah. So there is Mavayr. In Yiddishkeit has other inyanim besides for halachas. Besides for the fact that the Eibishter tells a person what to do, besides the fact that Torah is the sefer of his vice dimension, there's other aspects in Torah. There's drusha b'Torah, there's seidus Torah, Kabbalah, there's svara shakvatayis in Torah. Yiddishkeit has more besides for the gather of halacha. Yiddishkeit has other inyanim besides for the gather of halacha. Dort in Retter Yid Gimel Ikrim that of them you say this for the whole Yiddishkeit in general. The whole Yiddishkeit, Pshat, Remez, Drush, Seid, the entire hekef of Yiddishkeit has leaked. In order to have a richtig verstand, what's the call of the Gemusse of Yiddishkeit, there's 13 you say this. Dort Retter you say this of the gather of halacha. If you want to have a correct understanding of the gather of halacha, you have to know these inyanim that means in Hilchah say that. Means without missing these pratim, you have a wrong understanding of the gather of halacha. I'm just saying, that doesn't bring this here, but one of the Rambam brings is Avos Hashem. Avos Hashem is not necessarily a yisayt to what's the general matar of Yiddishkeit b'chlal. But if a person thinks that he can do halachas without having Avos Hashem, without having Avos to the Mekayim halachas, he has a wrong understanding what's the nature of v'imedaf, what's the gather of doing halach. Say an evet that is, if the Yitz whole tfisa is, that Mekayim say mitzvahs nor b'derech Kabbalah Seh, not b'derech Avos, says, and the whole gather of halach is just fulfilling orders. You say if the whole gather of Allah is just carrying out orders, that's a wrong understanding what Allah is. I'm just saying if a person doesn't understand there's a mitzvah of lev, it's Hashem, so he has a wrong understanding what Allah is. In order to understand what halacha is, these are the reason you say that there. Every single prat. This is Kavanah said that I say this shall halachas v'dinei Torah. The Rebbe is a whole different beer here. The Rebbe is saying that when the Rambam says Yidiyas Hashem, the Rambam is not speaking about Stamazet the mitzvah of Yidiyas Hashem. You say how the pratim that the Rambam brings when they get to the Musik of Holocaust is all you say this for the Musik of Allah. The concept, even when the Rambam speaks about the Musik of Holocaust, it's the concept of Holocaust the way it is inside the Gather of Allah. But do like we're saying in the Gate of Pshuta Shemikra. When the Rambam brings the Musik of Holocaust. So it's the way the child understands the Musik of Holocaust, because everything is within the realm of Pshat. So al derech zeh, when the Rambam speaks the Musik of Holocaust, it's the Musik of Holocaust the way it is from the point of view of Chelik Halacha Shabbatay. And that's why you need to have these Terim, these Inyanim. Mashiach in the Agdama, he's speaking in Klali, lav dafka the way it is inside Gedar Allah. So even Klali is later Sheshem Alaka. But when he starts breaking it down, the Musik of Holocaust, the way it is Api Allah, so the Richtige and the Inyanim which are the Gedar Holocaust, the way it is Api Allah is, we see Matzavishin and those Prat. Now we'll see later. But that's a whole different tfis of the Indian. So we don't take the Rambam to such an extent. Well, a regular thing, the Rambam brings Sikpurim, let's say, or the Rambam is Meirich when they get history, when they get Chanukah, he says the past, he's Meirich, the Torah of Enish. So Shala, why is the Rambam Meirich in Inyanim of Sikpurim? You hear the Rebbe take it much, where the Rambam is being magder a certain mitzvah. Or mitzvah Dias Hashem, so the Choradir is saying a mitzvah. Every word in the Rambam is the way it is Chelik Halacha Shabbatay. But dugmas like the Rebbe takes to Rosh Hashanah. So every concept that's mentioned there is the Musik, the way it is inside Gedar Allah.
The concept of let's say Talmud, learning the Svarah, doesn't exist in Rambam. The lens of Rambam doesn't exist that idea.
Because there's a mitzvah to learn. Saying is, but there is in Yanim and Torah that in Yanim is not Heira what to do. There's other Yanim and Torah. There's There brings here Pulish al Torah. There is the concept of in Yanim and Torah, which in Yanim is not Lahedis. The Rambam is going to say there's a mitzvah to learn them. But there's another concept in Torah, besides for showing a person what to do, that a person should be deeper aware of the Eibish's Chachma, let's say. Not l'shem heira, how to live l'payil in this world. A person should have a deeper understanding of Misha Amar V'Haya, let's say. Whatever. They go, L'meid HaGodesh, Ha'idizei, have a better Akar in Elukus. Lata, you're learning HaGod in order to know how to live. Have a deeper Akar in Elukus. So that Musik is not, that's not the Musik of Allah. Allah is His orders of how a person should live. The other Inyanim Elukus, which are not about the source of orders for a person, that aspect in the Lukus is not brought in Yonim Hashanah get to the Neshama, let's say. Or Chveis other in Yonim. Gilgulim, I don't know, it's Yonim in Torah Gilgulim Neshamas. But it's not a part of Sefer Hayat. I'm saying, we'll see later, the same way that Rebbe takes in Pshat, that the Pshat Shel Mikra is the whole Yiddishkeit, the way it is from the lens of Pshat Shel Mikra. So there's in Sefer Hayat, it's the whole Yiddishkeit, but all the way it is from the lens of Allah. That's the, we'll see that. So L'chein, L'hevi HaRambam, look to say that Torah, Kama Mei HaSeder, She'emeinu B'ed Gimalikrim Shaloi. After Kama Hem K'mei B'yas HaMashiach, he actually brings it to halachas. Not necessarily halach. But B'yas HaMashiach is a part of the get. That means the fact that there's going to be a day which Mashiach is going to come, that's a part of the Chelik Halacha Shabbatay. It's not just the theoretical part of Yiddishkeit. We're going to see later how it's Negea and Chelik Halacha, the fact that B'yas HaMashiach. Yechadas was the Chasam Sefer is Miskasha. L'chora B'yas HaMashiach is only Schar. But it's part of the Mizgaris of Allah. We'll see later. Shlachem Evim is Sefer Hayat. Aval Ebi L'chos say that later. Ki Yisei Des Elu Ima Yesem Yisei De Adas V'Atera B'Muvan Kloli and the Halachas B'Fnei Atzman Aval Enim Yisei Des Shal Halachas Atera Shal Halachas Atera. So again, before we go back to just one word, let's get to know. That's in order. Das Gesetz is a very important order. Order 1. Das Gesetz is the order 1. Let's get to the whole Hemshech here. Rebbe bringt, was stellt sich auf die Pnim? What's the Lashon here? Oh. That's the fact that this Pirush says that the fact what Pshat does he say because Mleis Amas and Tziyas Hashem L'Tiyah Mana B'Torah. So it brings Lashon Pirush. It's Zeish L'Midah. He's saying a cloud for the rest of the Hadron in the beer. The Kama Dvarim Shebefnim Sheba'ar is Yishatzayim L'Har Mitzvik Daily Yisrael Amitim. It's about Daily Yisrael Amitim. Some Gedet V'Ged Inyan. Why is he not being mitzayim to any of these forms? Apid Divrei Rama Magdamas Shekavanas Shleyo Adam Tzarad Chibar Achar Ba'elam B'Din Chulu L'Achar Shikr Chibar Zeh. So Bo can be Ikar Tziyunam Achodim L'Sipir Mer Nevuchim V'Gam Zeh Rak L'Shufret Demos. What's the Rebbe saying here? He's only being mitzayim Tziyunam Achodim to the Rambam Sefer Mer Nevuchim. Rebbe saying in other words, he's learning Rambam. The Rambam says you don't need any other Sefer besides from my Sefer. It means that a Yid says Chavek learn the Rambam from the Lashon Rambam itself. Whatever the Rebbe is saying here is was mit der gate mitzad the etzam limud Rambam itself, not from any external source. Because the Rambam says you have to learn his Sefer. You learn his Sefer, you don't need to come out to any other Sfarim. So if a Yid with a richtiger Seichel learns Sefer Hayat, he's going to come to the Maskanas. The Maskanas that the Rebbe is saying here is from an Ion the Sefer Rambam Gufa, not mitzad the Yidiyas that are coming from Krisenis the Kamikaris. So he's looking at the Sifrei Mer Nevuchim. The Farman Abyssal Seichel. Mer Nevuchim is the Rambam showing a person what's the richtige Weg to verstehen, or something like that. But not that we're not relying on any other sources outside of the words of the Rambam itself. There, like the Rebbe brings Ligabi Pirashashi also, that the Rambam Rashi is not going to ask a kasha from a pasuk the child didn't learn. The child didn't learn it yet. The child only knows, Ben Chamash Mikra only knows the psukim that he learned till then. That's what he knows. So it'll be a kasha from the go. But other information based on it. So the Rashi is not going to be the siachas, the kashas Charneveya from later psukim or from other Inyanim and Nach which the child doesn't know. So there is there. The Havana and the Rambam, you don't have to know anything besides for Sefer Hayat itself. And if you learn Sefer Hayat, yes, the without relying on any chitzenis dekamekeres, kumpin so that's where these biurim are coming from.
Why is the Bible not done so much?
Why is the Bible not goes through this truck?
I know. What's up? It's called a war.
Daily Yisrael Amitim. What said they quotes it? But here the Rebbe brings the Rebbe's Sheil is Pirushim, better called. When the Rebbe Sheil is Pirushim, that's a late Tzich Nishdag. It's not Mistabel. It's not Sheil from other Makarias. Rabbi Seil is not Mistabel as it. But as the Rebbe is being a Pirush Shalei Kfi Dvara, so you have to say why if someone's learning a Pesechel, or others when they get to you say this means Umatzayela. In Halacha, we don't know about it. In the world of Halacha, there's something that's in Chachmas Chesenis. There's Torah relates to every single thing that exists in this world. But here we're dealing with the Chedek Halacha Shvater. No, I'm saying later, there speaks in Yonim Ambukim, Chassidus and everything, but they're saying it's all Mitech Iyun B'Sefer Harambam Atzva. If you don't have any prior information, so the Rambam says that the Sefer is Halachas. So if you're a Yid without any everything that's mentioned here is halachas. Everything is now the shaila is what's the musik of this lashon is a shver lashon here. What's the musik of halacha? Let's see it in the one. So the Yana that Ram speaks about Hilchos that Torah are the Yisaidis to the musik of halacha. So now we have to understand what is the concept of halacha. The Mela will get to understand why the Yana that Ram mentions here are the Yisaidis for the concept of halacha. First, understand what is the musik of halacha. Yes, there's arichas here, but I think before we start, we'll go to the Vesigun Achar Be'Yisafa, and then we'll go back to this lashon. We'll go back to this. I'm verstehen the lashon before. Kol halacha b'din Torah halacha. Eina ka'inyanim shebeteira shebesug yagol Torah v'yadim. She'im b'em hira nesefes. There is a chilek of Torah, mashal svara in Torah. Not every svara is mechayiv a din l'maisa. Usually, every svara has a bechin. But you have a chetimtza, the Gemara brings yagol Torah v'yadim of svaras that have no bechin l'payil. The pasuk the Torah says that the simonim of dag is snapper and kaskeses. The pile call me sheyesh le snapper. Yes, it's not. If you have a snapper, automatically a kaskeses. So Torah doesn't have to mention both simonim. The minute you say that the fish has to have a snapper, the male has a kaskeses too. There's no mitzias of a dag which has a snapper which doesn't have a kaskeses. So the fact that Torah tzugelit that have also a snapper kaskeses is a yagol Torah v'yad, another part of Torah, but doesn't have any implication l'maisa. There's no shini l'maisa from this pasuk in Torah, from this nekuda in Torah that one of the simonim of a dag Torah is a kasket. It's true, it's one of the simonim of a dag Torah. But this simon is not maisif any hira l'maisa. There's maybe hira savis Hashem, pashit nezach, but there's no hira l'maisa from this idea. So that's the nigu to the musik of Allah. The musik of Allah is the fact that Torah is a psak din, mizol filin sich anders. Hira and nesefes. What's together with psak din chodosh b'negia l'davar mesuyim. Psak din chodosh b'negia l'davar mesuyim. Also, a psak din has to be that the reality the way it is not like that, and the Eibush is giving me an order to do something. It means to do something that the mitzvah should be not like the way it is before. If that's the way the mitzvah is milchatchila, so it's not the gather of Allah. So first of all, there has to be, you say, take a lulav, netilas lulav. That means that a person naturally, without telling him to do it, his hand is not in the mode of shaking the lulav. And you tell the person, a psak din, go do kach v'kach, get to it. In Yanim, any Indian Torah which is not changing or not dictating a new behavior, so that's not under the mizgaras of Allah. That's one thing. And the Mele, this is a and the Rebbe is medayik here, that the gather of halacha is that there is, every halacha is doing with something. There's no halacha is not a theoretical thing. Doing something in this tangible world. What do you mean doing? And what's that you say doing something? What does it mean doing something? That instead of the thing being one way, to do it, to change it, it should be befin kafta. Is that the meaning? If someone tells me, go, put on tefillin, do this ma'aser, that means that there's an object of a hand, there's an object of tefillin, and the way the hand is not, by itself is not the way the Eibusher wants. He wants you to take this hand and put on tefillin on. So that's mechayah, first of all, that the hand exists. If the hand doesn't exist, the hand has no meaning. So what's the pshat that it matters to the Eibusher how the hand is? Halach is tell the person take your hand and put tefillin on. That means that the hand has a chshivas. If the hand has no chshivas at all, so so you're telling to do something. So it doesn't matter to him what you're doing. So Shaykh Zagan Allah. Allah means that this thing matters, but that this thing should be in a certain form. The way it is now, before being Mekayim Allah, it's not in a way. It's not the way the Eibusher wants it to be, and the Eibusher wants it to be beifin kach v'kach. You say someone there's a cup of water, they bring the cup of water here. That means that it matters to you to have the cup of water has significance, but the way the cup of water is naturally, the fact that it's there is not the way you want it. You want it to come here. So what's halacha mechayev? That on one hand, that the mitzias sheba'ilam, or the mitzias that halacha discusses. Every halacha has to discuss a mitzias. You're telling someone to do something with something. There's no halachas. Doing an action means with a certain object. What's the pshat from them? So, no, it doesn't bother me. They don't hurt the meaning. Was like I mentioned, do kaf v'kaf. What does it mean, do kaf v'kaf? So there's every halacha is telling someone to do something with a certain object. Do something with your hand, do something with your foot. So there's an object with what you have to do. And telling someone to do something with your hand means your hand the way it is now, you put on tefillin. So your hand is the object. You're telling you do something with your hand, put tefillin on. That means that the hand has significance. And the hand, that's on one hand. On the other hand, the hand the way it is, without putting on tefillin, is not the hesed to the way the Eibishter wants. It's not the way the hand is supposed to be, or the way the Eibishter wants it to be. And the mitzvah is to take the hand and to make it should be behesed to the way the Eibishter wants.
So what's the difference in those two things?
Now, I just want to remind you, what do you mean there's in those two things?
That it's not the way it's just doing now, and that
We'll see the problem.
We'll
see, the problem. Before now, is being the word. I'm saying it's usually, sometimes we think about halacha, it's always naturally a little different. We think about, let's say, the author says in the Torah, that either mistavinu lachta veitzim, mitzvahs don't necessarily have any meaning. As they did kach alabit saying, we're trying to say that there's a davar shachlis veitim kach. The Rebbe is going to say a whole type of it. In Pashas, the author says in the Torah, the Eibishter wants kach alabit saying, not necessarily he's going to get anything from it, and not necessarily matters, but that's all apechsidus. Never that al pir Rambam. Apir Rambam, a yid comes with api seichel. Person comes with seichel, the Eibishter tells him, do this. What does it? They say, a person, Reuven tells Shimon, take this cup of water and take it off the table. What does that mean? That it matters to him that the cup shouldn't be on the table. And therefore he's telling me, go do that. If the thing doesn't matter, so what are you telling the person to go do kach v'kach? So the Eibishter comes and tells a person, go take your hand and put on tefillin on your left hand. That means that it matters to him that my left hand has significance, and he wants that in order this left hand without tefillin is nishvirvil, is lake say. In order for the left hand to be l'nachasrucha as a virvil, you have to make sure there should be tefillin on the hand. That's the Rebbe saying. That's the gather of Allah.
So the other house is by default the way they want to do.
We'll see later. Allah, the Isser is, you say, distant that thing. Move yourself away from that thing. And Apia Midas Alvarim, why you say distant? He doesn't want that thing to exist. Doesn't want the person to be involved in such behavior. So the Teichen is to be Deichet. We'll see later. He's going to touch the Gabi say also. What we're saying is, someone looking up Yisrael. Someone tells a person, a teacher tells his class, no one should speak in the class. And everybody should do kach v'kach. It means it matters to him that speech should be eradicated from the class. And that everybody should be in a certain mode. He wants these objects here, but not to be a certain way, not to be the way they are naturally, let's say, or the way they are on themselves, to be a certain way. And in order to accomplish that, we have to go do something. So we could look at halachas, I'm just trying to bring out this, we could look at halachas and just say, halachas are things to do. No meaning. They should told us, do this, do that. They're taking the whole lumdis, what the musik of halacha is, and therefore, that this concept needs to say this. First, what's the concept of halacha? He says that we're telling a person to take something and to make that it should be according to the Eibishter wants. It's not halacha is fulfilling command. That's not the Agdar of halacha. The Agdar of halacha is not just fulfilling orders. The Agdar of halacha is that the reality should be according to the way the Eibishter wants. And that means that naturally it's not the way he wants. It's naturally the way he wants. So what are you telling him to do? If you're telling him to do something, that means that the way it is not the Hesem L'Tzeni. And only if it's going to be in a certain form, in a different form, it's going to be Kfir L'Tzeni. And he's telling the person to go make that happen. Make that the world should be according to the Eibishter wants. That's not necessarily the pashto way of touching the musik of Allah. If you ask a regular yid, what's Allah? What's he going to answer? What's mit aftan? That's not what he's saying. A teacher telling a kid in the class to be quiet. So it's telling you what to do, or because he wants a silent class. And maybe don't do kach v'kach, or do kach v'kach. It's not the ma'asim ba'alma. So that's what I was trying to bring out of here. Halacha is sak din chadash migel davar mesim, and to get a certain object. Is every halacha is do something with something. Shadavar tzarchlis leifen zadafke. Chidush u'pu'ula shini ba'advarim shemelim shiyik asatay. The mele between zen that kol halacha. This is shinda emek in them. We're going to see. I'm going to say it here, even though it's more, some pratim, more is getaish, להמשיך הדברים, but it's negay over here also. It says, "Hanishitechem kol halacha u'kafel." First of all, pa'ula chiyuvis, shadvarim shebe'elam yiyu kfi dinei Torah. V'ridinan ha'adam sheyeda sheshem matzirish. Halacha is, there's the me'ach ha'adam, that's it. The me'ach ha'adam without knowing that there's a lukus that's not the way the Eibishter wants the me'ach to be. That me'ach is not behesim to Ratzon. It's not according to the way he wants. A me'ach which knows that there's a lukus, that me'ach is the way the Eibishter wants the me'ach to be. A me'ach with the knowledge that there's an Eibishter. Then there is pula shlilis, shala yiyu ba'is eibin k'mei she'im mitzadatzim. Ha'adam kedem she's bein in a idea. You have to also do another act. You have to negate that aspect in the me'ach ha'adam that's without the idea of Hashem. This we're asking before. What's the two pratim here? What's the tzei pratim here? Pula chiyuv is to put it in the right form. That's an active thing. You're directing the me'ach. You're saying you're educating someone that he should have this and this idea. That's a pula chiyuv. Then you have to cancel other aspects that it has. What do you have to cancel? Which aspect do you have to be shayla? They have to negate. The adam shalai yiu v'isi isn saratz. That's the derech hamed. The Me'ach Adam didn't know about Holocaust. The minute you educate it, you know about the Idiyas Hashem, the Meilet, your Shaylo, that it's not Ba'if in the way it was before it knew. Now it knows. What's the foolish Shlilis? What's that from the Bavataza? And it's not enough to educate Be'if in Chiyuvi, Adar Me'ach Zalern and Fashtein as Dan Eibishter. You have to be Shaylo, you have to negate that aspect in the Me'ach that K'mei Shem Mitzadatzim. But the Rebbe says in the extreme, the Rebbe says it is. What's the take on the Rebbe saying over here? That I'm just reading the Einvegel. We'll see the Nekuda is mitzad l'lukus l'moshe. There's a mitzvah. There's a neichash. The Eibusher is the neichash amalekah. The Emes says that the Eibusher alf b'shaf. Now, a person, the seichel adam mitzad atzmai. So why is it that there shouldn't? What's the problem with yediyah? The truth is that the Eibusher alf b'shaf, and there's no mitzias b'fanach. The Eibusher is no, he created everything. There is no other option. Like a person is born, mitzad his mayach, he's not muchrich to know sheyesh matzirishon. The mayach is not a zasert zaf, which is that chonase, could only know Yidiyas Hashem. The mayach could also know, lav can know that there's an Eibusher. The mayach could come to other maskanas too. Says, even after the person hat sich reingetrafen, is nisbein, he came to the maskana, sheyesh matzirish. Is bleibtach, but it's still not mufrich, mitzad the gather of his me'ach is not mufrich, that he should have the idea, heipich matzirish. The Pa'amam, she learned that he came to the recognition that there's neighbors there. But mitzad the tchunas of his me'ach, he could still know otherwise, he could still know beifanacher. Say, well, Marshall, a person putting on tefillin with his left hand. Even after a person is putting on tefillin with his left hand, but the yad is, it's not that the gather of the yad is, there's no aspect in the hand that it could be without tefillin. It's a black that the hand is a neutral thing. He could be with tefillin, he could be without tefillin. So that in order for the yad to be mitzad ratzon elyon, it's not that mitzad ratzon elyon you could be with tefillin, you could be without tefillin, and the person put on tefillin. Mitzad ratzon elyon, the whole nekuda of a yad is for the sake of putting on tefillin on it, let's say, or the whole emes of a me'ach is leida shesh matzirish. Kol zman, there's an aspect in the me'ach ha'adam which is able to be stable, which is able to handle a yidiyah. Heipach yidiyas emes, so his me'ach is not the hesim to ratzon elyon. You heard the meaning?
You have shalom with that.
We'll see later. What's going to be the chiyuv? The word is that the chiyuv has to be to such an extent. The mayach, the Rebbe is saying it that the gather of Allah is, you say, apiseichu, telling someone do something. Why are you telling me to do something? Because the person wants the reality to be in a certain way. A person is coming to the room, he wants the room to be clean. You clean the room. He wants the room to be clean. Others, the Rebbe is telling us, do this, do that. Why is he telling us, do this, do that? Because the world the way it is nish tazevi ervil, not behesem nurtzedin. He wants to, and what's the world? The way it is in Mitzad Ratzon Elyon, the way Halacha says. So we have to go do it and make sure that the world should be behesem to Ratzon Elyon. Mitzad Ratzon Elyon, the fact that the Me'ach Davzan and Avek Sheyeda Shesh Matzirish is Valdas the Emes. In order for the Me'ach to be behesem to the Emes, if the Me'ach is able to be stable or still has the aspect that it's not necessary, that's able to understand Heipach Halakas. It can't verstehen nicht der Rebishter. So then that Mayach is not behesem to the Emes. Because mitzad the Emes, nishtakin ad the Metzias. The only truth is that Yesh Matzirish. And what's the Nekuda of Allah is not do this, do that. that the world should be behesem l'rtzeinu. That's the nekuda of halacha. Vavaz Dr. Reuven to Shimon go do kach v'kach. Because you want that the object should be the way Reuven wants. So Al Dezim Negeit Halacha, what's the Pshat? The Eibush is telling us do this, do that. Apisech, what's the gather of Halacha? In order for the world to be behesem l'rtzeinu, behesem to the emes. So in order for the world to be, in order for the meach to be behesem to the emes. So Azan Azam assert meach that heipach halakus is mufrech b'tachlis. It's kind of zayin that he should be able to be to understand the svarda of heipach halakus. That has to be mushlo. For that you need a Polish lulus. Because the Metzias ha'adam, the way it is in Sedatzmei, could understand the svarda of heipach halakus. And then, even after you know the emes, your Metzias is not the hesem to that's not. That doesn't get to every single halacha like that. If you say that halacha is just do this or do that, so then the good is gone so long as the mishayis. But if the apiseh when it says something to do something is because you want that the object should be behesem l'rtzeinu, and the fact that they were just telling us to do this or do that is because you want that the object should be behesem l'rtzeinu, then it has to be behesem l'rtzeinu. Then it's mechayiv two pratim, sayip ula chiyuvus and sayip ula shluvus. It's a very strong lashon. The Rebbe touches this a little bit more mefurish later when you see this lashon. Pula shluvus shala yiyu ba'aseh even k'meish heim etzanatzma. Ha'adam kedem shezbeinu b'ala yidiyah. What are you being shayla? They shouldn't be the way they are neutrally. What are they neutrally? Not that he knows heipach halakus. That he's not within the form of Yidiyas Hashem. He's a neutral me'ach. A neutral me'ach is a problem. A me'ach was ken verstehen. There's an option not to have Yidiyas halakus. That's heipach ratzonali. And that nekuda by knowing has to shvatel. You have to mevatel the aspect in the me'ach that he could be without Yidiyas Hashem. That aspect you have to cancel. Or you have to be there's something to get the Shabbos. You have to cancel the aspect in the world that it could work on Shabbos. The nekuda that could be malacha on Shabbos, that has to be cancelled. So even if you don't do malacha, but you still didn't ask, you didn't cancel the tchuna in creation that it could work on Shabbos. So the world is not going to be hesem to ratzonali. Or if the fact that the yatzmel has to be with tefillin or the leiv has to be meshubed is in order for the leiv to be hesem to ratzonali, it has to be meshubed to the Eibishter. So you have to cancel that aspect in the leiv that it's not mechuyev to be in a tzir of shibud. Because if it's not mechayiv, it's not together to be in a tzir of shibud, so it's not behesem to ratzonali. So the ratzonali, a leiv dar zay meshubed to the Eibishter. Not just b'derech azeh. That's the mitzvah of the leiv to be meshubed to the Eibishter. That's the emes. So the mitzvah sheba elam has to reflect the truth. In order for the mitzvah to reflect the truth, you have to negate that aspect of the mitzvah that's not mechayiv to be in the form the way the Eibishter wants. Helam shemei adavar hazeh. This is there on the Kudah Ikris. In Balzen. But you see this over here. Let's just see Order 21, because this brings the Sephus in the senior. So, Kazamash, because of Rambam, Sefer Cheschaneke, Shekol HaTeirah, nit nelas Shalom Ba'elam. The ganze Teirah is getting geworden to make Shalom Ba'elam. The question is in Parshas HaDevarim, where's the try to say Shalom? There's a fight. When there's a fight, so the whole Torah is given. What if there's no fights? I'm saying the whole Torah is given to make should be peace in the world. There's certain places there's machlekes. I'm saying what's the? So the Rebbe is touching here. The etzem metzias of Welt is a machlekes on the Eibishter. Metzias ha'elim k'meishim misadatzma. He betzuruk azush enim asim alei ras Hashem. Before there's sitra achra, before there's klippus, they've created a world. The world, the way it was created, is not according to the tzir the way the Eibishter wants. If it's not according to the tzir the way the Eibishter wants, then bedakos, it's against what the Eibishter wants. That means that it could handle otherwise. If it's neutral, it's already not behesem to ratzonali. Says Kadesh to the year. So look in the Ulahar Shem Lashon Amish Kolten Lashon Omer Moch Shkam Inan Shem Mitzvah Say Hulas Yishalom Gam Behem Yesh Eined Shlilas HaMachlekes Surah V'Naged. So there was more mefaret in the Pnim Sivzayin, but in the Lashon here is saying it says Teichen Kol Halacha Ukof. Meher Teminim Beifin Klali. Let's go back to the Rebbe's Lashon here at the beginning. This Lashon is a little bit of a.
Teichen Kol Halacha is referring to us to Sikofan.
No, this is a sign achar beisav. Everything will have a every single halacha. No, that's it says later. It says Teichen kol halacha ukov. What's Teichen kol halacha?
The heart is the Rebbe to the end of the heart. It's not the regular understanding.
Okay, but
Because from the fourth taka,
he's touching up the Rambam Hilchos Chanukah that in the Nekudah of Torah is that the world should be behesten tolikus. And from this Lashon Guf is also that also the Gabi Asei you have to see. It's not a station the Gabi. The word that the world mitzad atzmai. Here is Rebbe speaking in the general thing that he says in the Pnim, that you're giving someone a mitzvah because you want the world to be a specific way. So the world, the way it is not the way he wants it. It's not behesten to and therefore you want it to be differently. It means the room is a mess. You say clean it up. So that's you see because it is not shalom ba'el. The elam mitzad atzmi without klippus, without menagdim. Before anything, without people fighting. The world kameshu nitna las shalom ba'el. That means the elam mitzad atzmi is already not what the Eibusher wants. That's the general point that he brings in. He says it's also menubas in this lashon the kol that even in Yonam of Asei have an akud of shlila because kol atayres for this aspect levatul machlekes. I'm saying, wie versteht Menschen Musik of Allah Istamazeh? What's the concept of Allah? It's Schar B'Hemish. It's a science.
More than in the ground.
The teacher gives rules in order for the kids that behave should get a reward. The kids that misbehave should get a punishment.
Like when you give a kid something to do that you don't shouldn't give them.
Okay, that's V'chal not Abiseichel. That's the Stam. The Rebbe is touching Rabbi Seichel. The Musik of Allah is tuapes. Why was Zoxim tuapes? Because you want the object to be in a certain way. I'm merely telling the person to do it. That doesn't bring the Kodesh for the Musik of Allah. This doesn't mean that he's only bringing this awesome Sefer Hayah. Another is like this. When you call Allah, Shayeches Rag, B'im Yesh B'sigin Hayadu Achefza. Allah do something with an object. A maise in a zach. That's what I was saying. It's not a maise ba'alm. Doing something, being mishana chaytis. That's the Agdara of Allah. Taking an object, instead of being this way, being a different way. There's even when it comes to putting on tefillin on the hand. So the hand is the chaytis. Every halacha, there's doing something with a certain object. Netilas lulav is the object, let's say, could even be your hand. That your hand should be in the mode of shaking the lulav. So every halacha is mechayiv a chaytis. Doing a maisa in something, changing something. That's the Agdara of Allah. Not we look at Allah sometimes it's just doing stuff. That's not the right definition of Allah. It's changing an object. Yeah, chveis, the lashon is. Yeah. So what the Rebbe means here is in a Rambam. In the Rambam, it's always halachas of Rambam are cheptzes. Halachas kriya shema, halachas tefillin. That's the Rebbe means. I'm not sure what's the. Exactly is that the Taz wrote a sefer. The Taz Cheshivishvat is much more verstandiger than Taz in Yeridei. So exactly that the Taz wrote a sefer twice. First he wrote it B'Shem Lechi, but then he went over the second time that it should be Masim Mechuven to Kabbalah. So in Yeridei he went over the second time, Masim to Kabbalah. First Verstehen was Zak. Mashiach and Cheshivishvat he wrote it only the first time. So he didn't rewrite it. It should be Behesim to say the Satire, Gringer zu verstehen, was sagt. So this the Rebbe adds, it's hard to, schwer zu verstehen, the Minyan. Signen Acher Allah Machricha Metzius Chefza Shalom. The Rebbe is saying it's even more. Because, Aldarach, like I say, when you get, say, as Eva hat gesagt, do this. It's not time do this. There is, halacha is, how the object should be, how the object should be mitzad ratzonai. The way the world should be mitzad ratzonai. What was the hilchos tefillin? Let's say tefillin is a cheptza shel halacha. What's tefillin? There's different dinim how to write tefillin. It's not a cheptza in the welt. It's not ongerufen tefillin. The cheptza of tefillin is a zach was vert. It's the whole cheptza is a cheptza which is api halacha. If the dayan writes the klaf and the aces are all the way it is, api din, vert yamat a cheptza of tefillin. So tefillin is not a cheptza in welt. Tefillin is a cheptza from halacha. The chatchil is it's a chefetz the way the Eibishter wants. That's what I'm saying. So every single object, every single musik in halacha is the way the mitzias is mitzad ratzonali. Do what I can say. You say there's me'ach adam. So we look at it. There's a me'ach of a person. Within the mizgaris of halacha, there's the chefetz of me'ach the way it is up yallah mitzad halacha. The chefetz of me'ach mitzad halacha is a das which knows sheyesh a matzilish. So that mir machen should be. There's no tefillin. There is the chefetz of tefillin, which is the chefetz which is mitzad ratzonali. There's this object of tefillin. We have to go make sure it happens. We have to make this object of tefillin. So there's the me'ach. There's the me'ach adam the way it is mitzad ratzonali, mitzad halacha, and the me'ach the way it is right now is not like that. The yid has to go do that. That the me'ach should be behesten to ratzonali. It should be a chefetz the way it is up yallah. What the Rebbe is saying later, technical halacha kafel, is this word, because there's the way the me'ach is up here. We'll see later in the Hemshech, we'll see that it's mamish like tefillin. But dugma is like tefillin. There's not an object in this world. It's a teira dik chefetz. It's a chefetz shel teira, and the mele it has to be the whole gather tefillin is a halachic chefetz of a ksav which has kedusha and all the prot tefillin. That's a halachic chefetz. Every mitzias that halacha deals with. So before it's telling us what to do is in order to make that this mitzias should be a mitzias of Allah, a chefetz shel Allah. And then b'shteit the say what the hira lemaisa is mizal machen that every mitzias which Allah is dealing with should be the way it is mitzad the mizgaris of Allah. I will see later. So the amita seidin is me'ach v'das ha'adam. It was a chefetz shel Allah. It's not some object in this world. There is the way that das is the way it is mitzad ha'emes, mitzad ha'lukus. Mitzad ha'lukus. What's me'ach v'das ha'adam? A me'ach which has a diyas Hashem. That's the chefetz shel halacha of the das ha'adam. Es ist nicht das. Darf man gehen machen, es soll sein, das. Ich bin pas der Wort, das ist der Rebbe saying.
How do you see the shvila actually happen?
We'll see the prati advar. That's what we're going to the Hamshich. I'm saying there's a bigger riches here. This is what Rebbe saying. Halacha mechricha metias chefetz shalom. Every halacha is vies darf sein der zach mitzad the gather of Allah. And really, it's a chefetz shel Allah. The dogma like tefillin is a halachic chefetz. So yeder, it says, what's up here halacha the das ha'adam? So there's stam as a das ha'adam al pi mitzias ha'adam. Then there's what's das ha'adam halachically. What's the gather of das ha'adam? So what's halachically a gather of das ha'adam? Means when is das ha'adam behessen to the Eibishter wants? The Eibishter's das. Das the way it's behessen to Ratzon Elyon. A das which kol inyane is l'idiyas Hashem. That's the halachic hagdara azay the richtiker that's the gather of das the way it is up yallah.
Why is it signature after? Isn't the first thing you can call Allah saying
no? That's
have to cut in the tikkun and
no.
soon after.
Everything that it means basically every halacha needs an object, but everything not just needs an object; it's a halachic object.
Is that before Masakana or after?
No, before. What is that? Everything a dugma. K'mei bilchas tefillin. So tefillin is a halachic concept, is a halachic object. And then a person has to go do it. You have to go make tefillin. You have to go do the tefillin. You have to go create them. The Rambam is saying later Shesha Matzah. He's saying what's the halachic category of das adam? The halachic category of das adam is a me'ach which knows Shesha Matzah. Now we have to go accomplish that. The das is not like that. You have to go accomplish it and make that the mitzias should be behessen to this chayfis the way it is up here halacha.
So the regular way you would understand the first line is that mitzvah is only when it's the chefsa that they want you to pay on, no?
That's the first thing. That's the basic thing. That's the signal. The Rebbe was being meisav is this word. Das steht schon bei der Rechet. I think this is just before I once saw this is just before. Kol halacha didn't tell was the beginning of the sif. And the Rebbe added this whole hagdama with and then added the signal based off. But what are we gaining from this line? That halacha is that the every mitzvah which halacha deals with is not just telling you do this or this mitzvah. It's what is the halachic definition of this mitzvah. So what is this mitzvah from the point of view of the Eibishter's Ratzon? And that's the true definition of this mitzvah.
In the Pasha's second line, you could also learn very simple. No?
The what?
Allah machricha metzias chefsel. In other words, every halacha
needs
is telling you that there's a metzias from a chefsel that it's dealing with.
That's not the free. Every halacha has to be with an object. What's that? Where's it bring a dogma from? First of all, what's the Yisaf halacha machricha metzias chefsel shalom? What's metzias chefsel shalom? So therefore, every halacha has been again doing something with something in this world. That's what he says in the second kata. Einam not like Yaakov Teraviyada, which is no hiron nisefes. But shaken here's a psak dim and to get to something. What are we adding with saying that halacha machricha metzias chefsel shalom? What does this word add? Its own, it's a unique chefza. Every halacha has to be doing something with something. Doing a ma'aser with an object. What's the... I'm saying tefillin happens to be that the tefillin is a chefza shalacha. You have things which are not. I'm saying shchita. So there's a chefza, there's a behemoth, of course. So that's, you don't bring a dugma of tefillin for that.
When he says das, that's Hamshich the first thing, or the Signacha?
No, I think it's this whole thing. Also the Signacha.
Because the das doesn't sound like that. It says...
Chema didn't do that, so Rechlias Metzias Esech V'das Adam.
That's it.
1 second. But what's the teichenship is it? V'az ba'alach da gavret, so Rechlas is ba'chefza. So you're saying just a simple word. But the Nekuda premise, which that Rebbe's teaching gives in the Hemshech, that the das should be Behessen Teratz Na'ayin.
Yeah, I was calling the chefs before it's done.
Calling what a chefz? Ich verstehe, but you're right. The first line is halacha needs an object, and you have to do with the object. But in the brackets, the Rebbe is adding the teichen pnimi of what he's trying to bring out. Why does halacha have to have a chefz? Because there is the way the Eibishter wants. There's the reality the way he wants it to be. It's not just reality the way he wants it to be. That's the true definition of the reality from his point of view. But dugma is like tefillin. So in order for it's a chefza shalacha, that is a yeder chefza ba'ilam is api halacha. What's the definition of this is? What's the definition of yad smel api halacha? A yad mit tefillin. What's the definition of me'ach adam api halacha? A me'ach which has a dias Hashem. This is it. Another shot. Why?
Are there any more functions? Because the main mix is, let's say the yad, the main mix besides your phone.
Good, I'm just saying a dugma. I don't know, but there's another svar in the Indian. Oh, weiter. Besignen agoyin argachavi, but this was I mean here, but it says yishpeil pu'ula v'nifal. So this. So if you touch stomach, they must think of halacha that is just meisim. Not that something should, not that there's a certain object to be this way or that way. Just actions. The Eibishter wants us to do this or to do that. So then there's only two gedarim. There's a pile and there's a pula. There's no nifa. Here, the nekuda is, why is the Eibishter telling you to do something? Because we want the world to be a certain way. We want a certain object. We want a certain teitzah. So yeah, there's the gavra of his daftan. There's was and daf uftan in the chefze. But they zuzukommen to them. There's an action which has to be done. If you look, if you're going to hashtag Chassidus, you're going to say Binolach the Beitzin. So there's a ment daftan. It's not about a nifam. They've garnished uftan.
So Binolach the Beitzin has a pedal or just a pull?
The person should do kafaka.
The pedal is just saying that a person has to do it, or it's saying that
a gavra which is doing.
It's able to. Is it more than that? The pedal?
No, the pedal is that you're the one activating this change.
It's very technical.
If you need a change, no, what I'm saying is, the Agdara, what's the Agdara of a mitzvah? The Agdara of a mitzvah is just meisin, nicht uftanepes. So the Agdara of Poel, Pu'ula, V'nifel is not massive in mitzvahs. There's a Gavra, there's a I don't know how you're going to call it, they're saying it's a gather of a Poel, which you're giving a certain job to do. You have to affect a certain change. So you're the one that has the ability to change, and everybody has the ability to change. You're an uman, which yachal l'shanis. There's the davar shetzarech l'ishtanis, and there's the pu'ula with what you change it. So that's the agdar of the Ragat Shaver, peil pu'ula v'nifa. This is it.
Why then is the chayva? Chayva should always be on the...
What does this word add? Huh?
It's very...
For what is that? If you this, then the chayva should always be...
That was going to bring later, the peil. That was going to bring later that in order to b'chtei zu uftan the shinui, you say you're an uman affecting the shinui, so you have to have the yechedus l'shanis. and the thing has to be able to be mishtana, and the pu'ula has to be a davar which is going to be mishtana. So there's certain mitzvahs that in Yonam is giving the kayach to the pile, or madgish more the tchunas of the pile. Certain mitzvahs are madgish more the tchunas of the pu'ula, and certain mitzvahs are madgish more the tetzah. Every mitzvah is that's in pu'ula v'nifa. But there are saying certain in Yonim that Gosh is more on that aspect, on the person which is affecting the change. The fact that you're a changer. Certain mitzvahs are madgish the chayfetz being mishtana, means the matara, and certain mitzvahs are madgish the pu'ula. The pu'ula sashin. We'll see that. I'm saying that I was going to say a whole lot. There's a bigger riches in that.
This line.
I'm saying that I was going to be masber later, but Prati said I was masber later that there's the whole part of the say this is in order for the pile to be the after sign to have the yechelis lashanis. There's a whole riches there. I'm saying it's not so posh. They were saying there's the general concept of what Allah is, and then for that you're giving a different mashmor to the person. You're saying we're not speaking a room being organized. You're not changing anything. Room is this way, that way. You're not here. The world the way it is not behesem to ratzna. It's one type of chefza. You have to change it to a different chefza. A guy can't change it. He doesn't have the yechilas l'shamas. He's not a pile. A yid is a pile, and a yid he can do the pu'ula. So I'm saying we're looking at it. It's not that you take the screw and you go into the wall. You need a pile, the pu'ula, and the nifa. It means you need someone with kenton. You need a chefza of halacha, pu'ula of halacha, and only then you can have the shinu. It's vertish mizachalim. You need a kayach halaki to affect these things. There is masber later. And this kayach halaki is invested in the pile, in his pu'ula and his nifa. So certain mitzvahs, certain nekudas halacha are madgish. Every nekud that ever speaks about here is, every halacha is kayach then, but then there is how certain mitzvahs are madgish one nekudah, certain mitzvahs are madgish another nekudah.
What are the dogmas?
What do you mean of payal pu'ula v'nifa?
Dogma for all those three things.
Payal pu'ula v'nifa?
Which mitzvahs have...
I'm saying there's a famous that I was supposed to get to middle of three things. We get to well, I don't understand. I don't get what you're saying.
He's saying that each mitzvah, certain mitzvahs are more in the pile, more.
Right. Every mitzvah has these three prat, but certain mitzvahs are madgish more pile. The Rebbe is in Sandra. No, that's in Sach Pebble. Certain mitzvahs the ikrat goshasim is the pile. Connection is the pratim. What's the dogma of
Shabbos is it the person or it's man?
So much of that could be maybe that the ikar malach. That's the saying that even shlili. But the pile, in order for the pile to be pile, he has to be in a certain mode. That happens in the I don't know if the table, I remember the brother. I was machali between the mitzvah, certain things. The mitzvah is that there should be the binyan, or certain mitzvah is that's a mitzvah sabin. So that you can say is pu'ula. We're together a pile. Not I remember now the. That's ended. You get the point, yeah? What you're asking now is a zatika point, really. It's not. It's not a yesed.
Later, Chilgav explains that line plays.
I'm not saying. We're saying from what the Rebbe explains later, we'll understand what's the pshat of certain why. Every prat the Rebbe says here is the way it is in every single mitzvah, and then there is mitzvahs which you say are mavlit a certain tchon in mitzvahs. The pile, there's three separate prat. There's the pile, the pu'ula, and the nifa, which every mitzvah has these three prat. But al-derech, like the Rebbe says, you get the chiyav and shlila. Every mitzvah has a chiyav and shlila. The pile, there is one category that's mavlit the nekudas achiyah, which is mitzvah sasi. Another category that's mavlit the nekudas shlila, which is mitzvah sasi. Al-derech, you get the pile, pu'ula, and the nifa.